Welcome to the Sip and Swish NBA Trade Deadline 2018 Mini Pod Spectacular. So, there was speculation by some of us here at this desk, as well as, the people throughout ESPN, Bleacher Report, etc. This was going to be a mild deadline. It turned out to be quite the contrary.
I said to Lucas 2 days ago, I was like, yeah, this one, I don't see anything happening now. It's like everyone's just like, no, we're backing off. We're not going to trade. I mean, the big names didn't get traded, but...
Right, but it was exciting. I was stoked the whole time. My phone was constantly blowing up with things happening.
Yeah, not just from our group text.
No.
It was like 6 group texts of Lucas spamming
every single group chat must have the same text.
Love it. So, biggest news of the day has to be the Cavs basically just rebuilding their roster, really turning the page, and I think it was a swish, to use our terms.
Half the roster gone, of younger, more talented players, except for George Hill. He's still getting paid $20 million.
Well, they get rid of 6 players at the deadline. It's so dramatic.
Do you know it's tied for the most players traded in the last 30 years?
Really?
Do you know the last team to do it?
You're smiling.
I'm going to guess Lakers because of that smile.
No. It's the Suns.
Oh, no.
No?
The 2008 Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, my God.
They traded 6 players as well for LeBron.
Oh, Dan Gilbert.
He loves that LeBron.
I thought you were going to talk about that 2013 deadline that the Suns had.
It was
they
close.
Traded
I think they're at 5 on that one. Okay, so the first trade we're going to talk about is, the Cavs made quite a few, but the Cavs, Jazz, Kings trade. So it's a 3-way trade. We'll post a link for all the trades because some of them are hard to follow and there's tons of money and whatnot. So this one, the Kings are getting Joe Johnson, who they're going to buy out, Iman Shumpert, a 2020 second-round pick, and then they get $3.5 million from the Cavs and the Jazz, and then a swap right. The Jazz are getting Jay Crowder, Derrick Rose, who's going to get bought out, and the Cavs are getting Rodney Hood, George Hill, and rights to a couple foreign players that I can't pronounce their names.
Yeah, it's fun. I think that's huge for Cleveland, though. Rodney Hood's super streaky. I'm not sold on George Hill at all because he gets paid too much and he hasn't performed at all this year. He's way below career averages. But think about this trade that they got Rodney Hood, they got George Hill. We're going to go to the other Cleveland trade soon, but they didn't have to give up their 2 biggest trade assets for basically a brand new roster. They got 4 new players, 5 new players, and they didn't have to give up Kevin Love. They didn't have to give up that Brooklyn pick. All they had to give up was the garbage they wanted to send out and their own pick.
Harsh words about Jay Crowder. Garbage.
He is garbage, and I will stand by that.
I saw a lot of Jazz fans on Twitter being like, yeah, Crowder's going to be good for us. Rodney Hood was not good. And I'm like, have you guys watched Cleveland games this year?
Man, Crowder's been so bad this year, and I think it's the Brad Stevens effect that Crowder was only good because he was with Brad Stevens.
System player.
So I think there are 2 hypotheses. I think that's one of them. I think the other one that I think this entire Cavs roster flip speaks to is just the toxicity that existed in Cleveland's locker room. And I think a lot of that, I shouldn't say a lot, I think some of it at least stemmed from the fact that you took Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder, who were bitter rivals. I don't think either of them had any interest in playing on this team. Traded them. Good job, Danny Ainge.
Right.
Because Kyrie had no problem playing in Boston. So you got 2 people that really, it felt like kind of hated the Cavs, at least, in a basketball perspective, in a vacuum. And so maybe Jay Crowder is going to do great now that he's not somewhere that he really doesn't want to be. All the reports say Crowder and Isaiah Thomas did not mesh with that locker room.
I think the biggest thing is Jay Crowder is now going to be coached by Quinn Snyder and not Ty Lue. And I think Quinn Snyder is probably more on the lines of Brad Stevens than Ty Lue ever was. So going into the locker room, Cavs never practicing. Cavs not having a strategy from the coach. It's a totally different system where Jay Crowder and Isaiah Thomas went to a team that's so unstable. and it's literally just give LeBron the ball, and he'll just drive and kick. So, they probably created so much toxicity in that locker room. They hated it. There's no doubt about it.
And who knows how they were welcomed either. So I don't
Right.
necessarily want to say like it's their fault that there was tension, but there was tension.
This was easily we lost the Kyrie Irving trade.
Yep.
We're just trading the players that we can. We're restarting. This offseason for them was not good.
What about the sadness of Derrick Rose, though? Like, they bought him out, right? He's bought out now from Utah.
He's going to get bought out.
He's going to get bought out. So, where does he go from here? Is he just retiring? Because
I mean, the Timberwolves
said they wanted him, but where on that roster is he really useful? Because Tyrese Jones is better than him.
I guess maybe it's just like a veteran leadership.
Veteran leadership.
I mean, Thibs might just out of like respect give him like one last. Okay, we're in the playoffs. Someone goes down. This is our safety net. We have a former MVP.
It's almost like the Spurs with T-Mac. He was just on that roster.
I could see that. You know, D-Rose will play garbage time, and then maybe if they need him, they'll throw him in.
Yeah,
it's still sad though. I miss the old D-Rose.
Anything else we want to hit on before we jump to the even more exciting trade of yesterday? All right, so Cavs trade with the Lakers. Nick, actually, I will let you. You're a resident Lakers fan. Why don't you break down what happened and your initial thoughts?
All right. The Cavs get my boys, Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance, both young players. Larry's still on his rookie contract, so they don't have to pay him just yet. Clarkson's on a 2 years left with $12 million a year, so favorable. The Lakers get Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, who are both expiring contracts, so they're going to go into the offseason with, what was it, like
69 million?
69 million in cap space. So that's what they're going for. And we get the Cavs' top 3 protected pick. So, I mean, we get a draft pick this year. Apparently,
not the Nets one.
Not the Nets one.
To clarify.
No. We're getting their Cavs pick, which will be like in the 20s. But apparently Isaiah's agent used to represent Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant left Isaiah's agent for Rob Pelinka, who's I don't know if you know, he's the GM of the Lakers. So there's a little, bad blood between Isaiah's agent and the Lakers already. But apparently Isaiah wants to start.
Right. I mean, he will right out of the bat because Lonzo's not there. But then when Lonzo comes back, is Isaiah playing like the 2, or is Lonzo playing the 2? I don't know. I just think he should get bought out. But I think this was a win-win for both teams.
That seems to be the general consensus.
I think it was a huge win. I mean, Cavs get an incredibly athletic big man, which they don't have on their roster right now. So they can actually have a center, and Kevin Love can play the 4. Jordan Clarkson is better than Isaiah right now in a vacuum. So you have 15 points per game, 15 3-and-3 combo guard. You just put them on a team in the playoffs. That's perfect. I don't know. The first round pick's kind of a steal because I feel like this deal could have happened without the first round pick. Because the Lakers just want to the Lakers just want to clear cap because they just want to go big for a superstar.
We want a superstar in 2018 or 2019 or both.
Nick is a Lakers robot.
Watching their interview about the trade deadline, it was just Magic's like, we're the 11th seed. We need to get better. I'm like, do you think Isaiah Thomas and Channing Frye are getting us there? Oh, the cap. I'm like, who are we getting?
Yeah.
Who are we still going after?
So are you not hyped from a Lakers perspective?
I mean,
are you saying the Lakers are sipping?
I don't know yet. I'm really torn because we started playing really good basketball recently.
Agreed. You know I said it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I guess it doesn't. Isn't it kind of irrelevant though how they played this year because they don't have their pick? I guess they could only play well to develop, but their goal wasn't this season.
No, I mean, I wanted Larry Nance. One of our power forwards had to go if we're gonna pay Julius.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was Larry. I kind of thought the Cavs would have called him and like, okay, we want Randall.
The problem is they want a lot for Randall. Someone called him and was like, we'll offer you like 2 seconds, and the Lakers just laughed at him.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not doing that. Because I don't know how teams are valuing players this draft.
So, Nick, let me ask you this. pre this trade, who were the three best players on the Lakers? Who are the three best today, and who are the three best, at projecting forward?
I would definitely say Ingram, Lonzo, and probably Julius.
What?
I think Kuzma.
What?
Over Kuzma?
Oh, yes, Kuzma is better than Julius Randle.
I think
and Kuzma's better than Lonzo today.
And Kuzma was
okay,
the best
we're
player
looking
on
in
the
a
team.
vacuum. He's one he can shoot. I wouldn't say no. He's not the best player on the team. No, that's just.
If you put the entire season in perspective,
I think Ingram's the best player on the team.
Ingram's my favorite, but I think Kuzma.
I think,
playing
but
lights out for like 2
going
months.
forward, I mean, Kuzma's already 24, 23.
Yeah, I think he's like 22, 23.
Right, his prime.
He was an old rookie.
He's an old rookie, so I mean, he's gonna approach his prime much faster than the rest of these guys.
If I had to pick the best player 5 years from now in the Lakers, it'd be Ingram.
Yeah. And I think, although Julius has the bulldog effect, like driving, when you watch him play and he's running it, he's really good. Kuzma can score.
So none of us thought that Clarkson or Nance were a top 3 player.
No, I mean,
No.
Clarkson had his moments, but
So
Nance was the third big man.
So that being said, I feel like the Lakers switched. They kept their 3 best prospects, their 3 best players, and cap space. Now they can do.
If their goal is to
anything.
get cap space, they succeeded.
Right.
So,
And maybe Isaiah looks like old Isaiah. I'm not expecting it.
Well,
He looks like damaged goods, which is really sad.
his
He's-
demise is so sad.
He's going to be able to practice now, though. We practice, and
They might not even play him. The Lakers could literally just be like, okay, we're just going to play our youth, just rehab. They could use the Lakers as like the G League team that the Cavs should have sent Isaiah to just get back in shape.
All the reports at this point are that he's going to get a lot of minutes, regardless of starting or not.
because they think in the high-paced offense that just jacket.
I mean, why not?
Eventually.
This is the only time he's going to be able to rise his stock. Because right now, if he goes into the
All-time
open
low.
market, I don't know what he's making. I think he might make like 2 years, $12 million. Like
That'd be like generous.
making $6 million a year. I don't know.
I
It's
heard,
so sad.
Rachel Nichols say on the jump that she saw it as probably like Isaiah's going to get a JJ Redick type contract next year from someone.
I could see that.
Kind of just like a very
The Magic just go.
low, middle of the road, 1 year deal.
You have to just get like you have to get to the floor. So you have to find a team like you can find a team like the Suns that right now they're like 12 million in cap space, and if they get to that point and they're like, crap, we have to get to the floor, or else we have to pay the tax, and so Isaiah gets paid 15 million for 1 year. It's going to happen because he doesn't have any value right now.
Yeah.
Are there any other aspects of the Cavs day yesterday or the Lakers day yesterday that you guys want to discuss before we move on?
I just want to reiterate that I think the Cavs won this trade deadline because they didn't have to give up Kevin Love or the Brooklyn pick. They've rebooted. They got Rodney Hood, which I thought they were going to get Rodney Hood for the whole Kevin Love to Utah. They could have got a bundle for him, but they got Rodney Hood for Iman Shumpert.
They did not value Rodney Hood.
The Jazz do not. Jazz fans think he's like trash, but he's just incredibly streaky. But, I mean, I think this might be like an Oladipo situation where Oladipo moved to a different team, and now he's a completely jacked, one of the best shooting guards in the league. Like Rodney Hood, he's a really good young player.
He gets to play along LeBron.
He gets to play with LeBron.
Everyone better, except for this Cavs team earlier.
We're gonna hear way too much about Rodney Hood being like a top shooting guard in the league really soon. It's going to be so frustrating because I love him, but he's not.
Just wait for Cavs fans during the dunk contest when Larry Nance is in it.
Oh my goodness!
You thought the Lakers fans were, oh my god, we always
he's
knew
the
you were
greatest
good.
dunker of all time. I'm not ready for this.
I agree, though. I think the Cavs swished beyond anyone else in this trade deadline because they achieved the 2 things that they were trying to balance. They got better for this year, and the roster looks better moving forward. So higher probability of winning the chip this year. Still unlikely, but it's more likely, and their roster looks significantly better next year.
Like I texted you guys, it's above a 0.1% now. It might be 0.2, but it's above 0.1. They did make one more trade, though. They traded Dwayne Wade home.
Oh, yeah.
The Flash returned.
I think that's good. I think this is it. I think he's retiring at the end of the year.
Well, they went to him and said, hey, we're going to, we got all these young players. We're going to lower your minutes. They went to LeBron and said, we want to tell Wade that he's going to get less minutes, but we can trade him. The Heat will trade him back. We'll just do it for free. That's a free pick.
Yeah, that's like
it's not going to happen.
It's like top 58 protected.
It's not going to
It's never converting.
That's a goodwill thing for them. It kind of shows that we care. We're the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we care.
I want Sacktown to buy out ISO Joe, and I want ISO Joe to go to the Cavs really badly.
There's going to be so many people getting bought out. Just this buyout, because teams like the Cavs have 2 open roster spots still.
Yeah,
right.
So
They're bringing up Perkins. It's already done. He's in their G League.
I hate that. That's not a player.
Kendrick Perkins has been in their D League.
He's on the return.
He's coming back. They want a veteran presence in the locker room.
I hate that.
For after this trade deadline, molding it. That's literally their words.
How do Perk and Braun get along? I don't see that as a good.
I guess they're.
See, why couldn't you try to convince Chicago to buy out Tony Allen, and then Tony Allen goes to the Cavs, and then get ISO Joe?
I think they are in talks to buy out Tony Allen.
I think they should be. I mean, there are so many better players that the Cavs could get right now in free agency or buyouts than Kendrick Perkins. I mean, he hasn't played in 3 years.
Maybe he's skinny.
No. He got bigger.
It typically only goes one direction at that point. So probably the next, the team that swished the hardest outside of the Cavs and maybe the Lakers, depending on how you want to look at it, the Pistons having a really, really nice trade deadline season.
Oh, my God.
So they obviously kicked it off with maybe what was still the biggest trade, the Blake Griffin trade back on Jan 29. But they had some trade deadline moves as well. They traded for Jameer Nelson, and the Bulls got Willie Reed, part of the Blake trade, and the right to swap 2022 second-round picks.
I always love when teams trade obscure second-round picks with like
years
ahead with insane asterisks.
With the right to swap.
Like, it's so unnecessary when it's just like it's just trying to make a team feel like they're kind of winning in a trade when it's just lopsided. Willie Reed, I don't know. He used to play in Miami, but he was also the third-string big man. Jameer Nelson's going to help Detroit because Reggie Jackson's out. All I have is Ish Smith right now. So, I mean, he's just serviceable.
He's turning back the 08 clock. He's going back home.
Stan Van.
But it's like coaches like that just love their players that they were with for like 5+ years, and they need some sort of safety net.
And he's going to be solid. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's just going to be a real middle of the road NBA point guard.
Right. If his like assist to turnover ratio is like 3, and he just gets 5 and 3 every game, and he plays 12 minutes. Like, that's all he's asking for.
That's enough.
That's all perfect. They need. That's all they need.
Especially with that monster front court.
James Ennis, was he on the Lakers? He used to play for the Lakers, right?
No.
Tyler Ennis?
Tyler Ennis.
I
think he's still on the Lakers. Honestly, Tyler Ennis. I don't even know.
So you're talking about the other deal they made.
Yeah.
Getting James Ennis, and the Grizzlies in return got Bryce Johnson and a future second-round pick.
It's pretty interesting that pretty much the Pistons just swapped the other 2 players that they got in the Blake trade for small forward and a point guard, which they desperately needed.
Right.
And they gave up a second and a swap.
Stan is swishing this trade deadline for sure. Superstar and then role players to go along with it. Like,
he does
for almost nothing. Like, I mean, I guess they traded the 13th pick in the draft or wherever they land. I mean, Pistons are winning, so that pick could go to 17. So they traded like the 17th pick in the draft for Blake Griffin.
Right. Pistons have won 5 in a row since getting Griffin.
And they're killing it. I love watching it.
Where do we think they can climb to in the standings? What's the ceiling that they can achieve this year?
I mean,
7th seed. I think they can make the playoff. They're 1 game out.
I think, like we said, though, the difference between the standings, like we said,
it's really close.
It's so close.
Yeah, but the difference between the 3rd and the 9th seed was 4 losses as of yesterday.
It's It's so hard.
They're tied with Philly, pretty much, at 11.5 games back from the first. So they're 2 games out from being the 6th seed.
I think their ceiling is 5th seed, to be honest. I'm not saying I expect it, but I'm just saying it's not outlandish.
Is anybody seeing what Drummond is doing it with Blake Griffin? He's averaging 18 and 20.
Yeah.
He's averaging 20 boards a game.
He got 27 the other night.
27.
That's insane.
They're honestly like perfectly complementary pieces. They're the way that they each play. Just they like phrasing. I know, but they fill each other's holes.
Oh.
I couldn't think of another way to say it. I just had to keep rolling.
Oh, better big man combo: Drummond and Blake Griffin, or Boogie and Davis. Who's succeeding more?
The sum of the parts it's a really small sample size. At this point, though, the sum of the parts is better in Detroit.
I like Detroit more.
Obviously, Boogie and Anthony Davis are way better players individually than either of them. But the sum of the parts, man.
I don't know. I really like Drummond and Blake Griffin together.
It's exciting.
So good.
And it's kind of like we had talked about, not that we're alone on this, that the Pelicans, their style of play was really fun to watch because it was different than the rest of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're getting out of Detroit right now, too, is more of an old school style, which how fitting in Detroit.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, what do we got next? All right. Some good trades here, too. The Hawks trade with the Heat. The Hawks get Okoro White. I know Jason's really big on him.
I've been very high on Okoro White all year.
The Heat get back Luke Babbitt. This is just a
I think it's just cap relief for Miami.
Trade. Yeah, it's just nothing interesting there.
Yep, Luke Babbitt rhymes with rabbit. That's the extent of my knowledge.
They traded Okoro for a rabbit.
You know this play.
For a literal live rabbit.
You know these trades are like insignificant when I have to Google the players' names and figure out what they can do on a team.
Right.
The next one is the Raptors trade with the Kings, another cap. The Raptors get a shooting guard in Malachi Richardson. And
the Sacktown was high on him during the draft. Like they were super high on those 4 rookies they got. But
the thing that makes me sad is the Kings get Bruno Caboclo, who's
2 years away from being.
He's 2 years away from being 2 years away. 2 years away ago.
Being 2 years away.
He's getting waived. I mean, he was a process player. Everyone saw the Giannis.
I feel bad for him because Toronto made that huge mistake by drafting him, and I just don't know why.
Because it was the Giannis thing. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna."
Everybody wanted the next Giannis.
Then they realized.
Sorry, Bruno. Actually, no, I don't feel sorry. He just got paid millions, and he wasn't even good. Good job, Bruno.
I can be 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Right.
Sign me up. All right, so this is a good one, though. This is an actual trade. 3-team trade: Denver, New York, Dallas. The Knicks get Emmanuel Mudiay, who was from Denver. I don't know about him. The Mavericks are getting Doug McDermott, McBuckets, and the Nuggets get Devin Harris in a second-round pick.
I wish this trade was a little switched around. I wish Doug McDermott went to Denver.
That's me too. I get what the Mavs are doing. They kind of snuck Doug McDermott out of New York, and New York's just like, okay, we'll take a point guard. And it's like, Doug's good. Doug's good for you guys.
I mean, I don't really understand like the logic by the Knicks unless it's like the same logic of the Suns trade later. Like, we're just going to take a flyer on this guy and see if he can be like a serviceable point guard. But
dude, no one understands the logic of the Knicks.
I don't get it though. Like,
some of these franchises, I'm just so confused.
Mudiay for the past since he's been drafted, he's the worst rated starting point guard like ever. Like, who's played 30 minutes a night? He is just terrible.
He shoots worse than Lonzo. His jump shot doesn't look as bad.
He's really bad. I don't know what he has going for him. I don't know why the Knicks did this except
the Knicks operate like a franchise that would just be happy making the playoffs every year, except then they don't make the playoffs every year. So you're just doing everything so wrong. You're not really competing. You're not really rebuilding. And you're not making the playoffs as like an 8 seed.
What franchise is worse, the Knicks or the Magic?
Magic.
That was fast.
That was fast.
I don't even have to think about it.
I'm starting the Magic no more movement. I want the league to contract or or to go back to Seattle, like we had talked about.
We should send Orlando.
I'm not viewing them as a real franchise, so I'm taking the Knicks. I think the Knicks are worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Knicks have so much more like to them. They should be better.
Plus, somehow they like kind of ruined Phil Jackson. I mean, or Phil Jackson helped ruin them. But either way, Phil Jackson's legacy was money.
Completely tainted before he went to the Knicks. Like, how do you taint like the best coach ever?
Right.
That's how you do it. You go to New York.
You go to New York and you
work for James Dolan.
Right. You work for James Dolan, and then everything hits the fan.
You get paid like $12 million a year to just run that team terribly. Just, James Dolan, if you're looking for a new GM, president of operations, just call me. I got you. I can do the same thing.
So Portland trades with Chicago. The Blazers get the rights to Lucas. I defer to you.
Milokan
Rakovic. Milokan Rakovic.
Some foreign player who will never play in the NBA.
And the Bulls get?
Noah Vonleh.
Noah Vonleh.
Great stories about Noah Vonleh, but I feel like we can't tell them.
I don't think he listens. Anyways, the Trailblazers get under the tax somehow. Somehow they finally get under the tax.
Yeah.
And they didn't really give up much.
No, Noah Vonleh, you're not good.
Devin Brockway's better.
Devin Brockway is better than you.
Okay, a little side story behind this. Because I can't. I know he doesn't listen. Our friend Devin dated this girl in college who was, good at basketball. She was in that AAU scene.
Okay.
And Noah Vonleh was in the scene as well. And I guess he asked her to prom. And the whole joke was like, our friend Devin was better than Noah Vonleh because he's like actually dating this girl. She was awful anyways.
It was awful.
She might be listening.
I hope.
I hope she's listening.
But then Noah Vonleh was going to go on a date with our friend's girlfriend.
Right.
And he had just gotten drafted, and he was like, whatever, was he 7th or something? He was
way too high.
Stupidly high.
Good job, Portland.
So Noah Vonleh's got a little spot in our hearts.
Wow. That's as close as we've ever come to a real NBA player.
Yeah.
Maybe we can,
insider info.
Insider info, guys. I know he has a private Facebook. I've seen it.
All right, so there are a few other kind of smaller type trades that we can hit, but maybe before we do, let's discuss who were the top. Let's say 3. Who were the top 3 players that got moved during this trade season?
So in the whole season or just yesterday?
Let's
trade deadline.
Trade deadline? Okay, because Blake Griffin's kind of too easy anyway.
It'd be like Blake, Tobias, and like.
Cool. So yeah, we'll keep it just to Feb 8, aka trade deadline baby.
Trade deadline baby. Let's go.
Yeah, who are the top 3 players that got moved?
And I want to say number 1 would be Isaiah Thomas, but he's been playing worse than a majority of these role players. I think like Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, and then I'd probably do Elfrid Payton. Honestly, like I don't think anyone on the Cavs is like a top 3, top 10 even player that got moved.
Yeah, it's so hard with Isaiah, man. It's so difficult
it's so
because if he can fully rehab, then obviously he's the best player that moved.
I even think like Tyler Zeller moving to Milwaukee is more significant than Isaiah going to the Lakers. Like
now, think back like 3 years ago. If you saw Dwayne Wade getting traded and he wasn't the top 3 like most interesting player traded.
And the story was Dwayne Wade being traded to Miami.
Like we just sent this back. Like Cleveland sends Dwayne Wade home, and everyone's like,
"Oh, why did they do that?"
Well, there was one super smart, prematurely graying person on this podcast who I believe in our inaugural episode said Dwayne Wade was going to bring absolutely nothing to the Cavaliers this year.
Yep. I had hope out there.
He was me.
I thought I had hope for him in the playoffs, but
he's just so.
There's still hope. The Heat are going to go to the playoffs. So,
he'll be there. But
he played it smart. He let the team rebuild. He pulled a LeBron.
And he's got his retirement home in Florida now.
His wife was so excited. She tweeted out right as he got traded, like,
Stoked.
"We're going back to Miami. Let's go."
So this is a mini pod. Let's put a nice bow on all this. Let's take a vote. Do we want to go through these last 3 trades that weren't overly impact? Oh, of course you want to, actually. All right, let's do the Phoenix trade with Orlando, and then can we talk real quickly about the players that were expected to move and didn't?
Sure,
I think that's
absolutely.
pretty interesting too.
Yeah, these last 2 trades.
So Phoenix traded traded a second-round pick for Elfrid Payton. I mean, it's huge, and the pick that they traded was in the Troy Daniels trade, and Memphis needed to get Troy Daniels off the cap, so they traded Troy Daniels a second-round pick for a highly protected second-round pick, and so that they'll never be converted. And then the Suns swapped this second-round pick for Elfrid Payton. So the Suns just got 2 players for free. It's great. I love Elfrid Payton. It's only going to be a 30-day rental, but he has the most triple-doubles in Magic history. He has more triple-doubles in his 3 years in the league than the Suns have in the past 12 years.
So they don't re-sign him, you don't think?
Man, my dream scenario would be to sign and trade Elfrid Payton and be like, this offseason we sign and trade Elfrid Payton to the Nets for D'Angelo. So we trade like Elfrid Payton on like $9 million a year for the next 3 years, and like Miami's pick next year in 2021.
Why would you just sign?
Stop smiling, Lucas.
Why would you just sign D'Angelo?
Because he's restricted. We can't get him.
Yeah, but you could just overpay him.
Well, that would still be. We'd still be worried that the Nets could just match it, which they would. So, but if we trade for D'Angelo, then we can sign him for whatever we want. And we might not have to max him if we just trade for him. If we get to sign Elfrid Payton on a super cheap contract, swap for D'Angelo, that's my dream. I don't think the Nets would be upset with getting Elfrid Payton. And I don't think
when they have D'Angelo again.
Not if they go.
I think if you go, we got this like really good young player. Let's get Elfrid Payton's hair on my team. I love selling that.
Yeah, but what if he gets a haircut?
He's not going to. He's been in the league for how long? He's had that hair for how long?
Forever.
That's his hair, man.
I think it's a great trade for the Suns, though. Like,
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I think it's another knock on how bad the Magic are at everything they do.
Like, just get rid of the owner.
Hire the Sip and Swish.
The Magic Supersonics.
The Magic Supers.
They don't even have to totally change the name.
No, yeah.
Just become the Seattle Magic Supersonics.
And we'll have 2 arenas. You can play some games in Orlando, and you can play some in Seattle.
Interesting.
It's good. It's a sip for the Magic. It's a swish for the Suns. I just think
Suns get a point guard.
the Magic gave up so much for Elfrid Payton.
Yeah, that was the thing. They gave up Dario Saric and the future pick that turned into De'Aaron Fox. So they traded the 5th pick in the draft last year and Dario Saric, which was the 9th pick or something that year.
10th.
9th or 10th pick that year for this guy. And then they just swap.
Well, they're another team who, like, their plan, if there is one, is very ambiguous.
I think it changes by the day.
I don't see what they're working towards. I don't see the
either. I really wish, and the rest of the league probably wishes it too, they could just commit to a full rebuild, or they could try to win now by overpaying like above average players to be in the playoffs. Like the Magic are an organization that if they thrive for the next 10 years being the 8th seed, they would be fine with that.
Right, and I think those are your
that point.
3 options in the modern NBA. Either rebuild, like full on tank and rebuild, or just rebuild through other methods.
Right.
Be content being, between the 9th and 7th seed, just trying to make the playoffs, or go for it. Go for broke and try and win the chip. And good luck against Golden State.
I mean, there's only so many teams that could win. Like any given year, it's like 2 to 3 teams that could win. There's the
right there. It's so top heavy.
But over half the league would just be happy being a 6th seed. You make so much more money being in the playoffs.
There was the Forbes. The Forbes report came out, and the only team that actually didn't make money last year was the Cavs.
Which makes sense.
They lost $8 million last year.
Just because they were so high above the luxury.
High above the cap. People didn't the arena wasn't sold out. They didn't sell enough jerseys. They had lost so much money.
That's shocking.
Yeah,
It's Cleveland.
the Warriors made the most money too. Though they made $140 million compared to
the Warriors went
negative
from
8.
the Warriors went from like
That's
a
ridiculous.
really bad franchise to being the most valuable franchise in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because of the Knicks used to be.
I mean,
that way.
also being on that West Coast and with the international growth of the game and of viewership, I think that the Warriors also get a nice bump from like Asian fans.
Oh my God,
They
Asian
should
fans are huge.
they should just hire or sign Jeremy Lin, and they would be set.
Well,
Put Yao Ming in some sort of like made up role, whatever. You know what I mean?
How
He's
perfect
the
would that be?
assistant to the traveling secretary, whatever.
an advisor.
Yes.
And advisor.
Goodness, that's what Sacramento should do. Think how many jerseys they'd sell if like the president of the Chinese Basketball Association was also an advisor for the Sacramento Kings. Like,
Yeah.
we freaking
Valid.
They already had Divock, so I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's-
Wow.
We didn't. Even, that's a team that
All right, yeah. Let's look at who didn't make moves, what players stayed that we didn't expect. Let's try and
Yeah.
fly through it.
I
This
think-
is approaching a full scale pod.
Oh, I knew it was going to. There's no way to make this mini pod. Number one is Tyreek Evans.
Tyreek Evans, I'm so surprised that didn't happen, but
They've been sitting him.
really,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
correct me if I'm
for
wrong,
this moment,
but to my knowledge, they had been sitting
were-
Tyreek Evans because they were like, we're trading you.
I think like the Tyreek Evans and Lou Williams thing, and some of these other expiring contracts that could have gone to playoff teams, for whatever reason, I don't know why, GMs are super valuing their first round draft picks this year,
Yes.
unlike any other year, and I'm really
Because-
confused.
Because of the way the cap situation we talked about.
Right,
The
so-
cap situation is working that they can't sign players, so they're going to get these rookies that they can just keep and go through.
Right, so these
over the
rookies
cap
are just
with.
bodies that have a ton of potential, but
And they have years where they don't
yeah,
have
so
to worry about it.
you can have a rookie for 4 years, but I don't know. But this is different though. Like that has always been a thing. You know what I mean? Like a first round pick will always be on your team for at least 4 years.
I think GMs are getting smarter.
No.
Yeah. Not all of them, but there's the fake first that turned into 2 seconds in
Right.
3-4 years. The Lakers are honestly
Well,
lucky
okay,
to
so
get
what
only
was the
to
point
get-
of not getting like 2 seconds for Tyreek Evans?
because they're dumb.
Or
They,
what
they
about
got
Lou?
offered 2 seconds and a player. They got offered so many different things, and they were just like, "No, I think we can get a little more." And then the trade deadline,
And then they
it started closing.
So Memphis messed up.
Memphis screwed this entire thing up because they got those offers.
Do you think they're gonna try to like re-sign him like Lou, like $7 million a year for the next 3 years?
I think Tyreek's not going to take it. I think he's going to want to go and.
I don't think he can make more than that.
I think he's going to.
But he can play in a better situation.
Yeah.
Right, he doesn't have to play in Memphis.
But
So he didn't move. DeAndre Jordan.
Didn't move.
Didn't
That's still
move.
surprising. That makes me feel like the Clippers want to re-sign him. Because otherwise,
I think
why
they
not?
want to.
Because he's the guy that wants to go.
Well, maybe it's become evident to DeAndre as well as the Clippers what his value is around the league, and maybe
Right.
the Clippers now think, you know what, we can sign this guy for less than we thought. Maybe that's a complete
Or just-
hypothesis.
or they thought they were going to be much worse without Blake, and then they were still winning games, and they're like, "We don't have to go full rebuild. We can just be maybe an 8th seed. We can just be right on the cusp."
Right, getting rid of that super max Blake contract is still a win in terms of being able to rebuild.
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused where they're going to go from here. Like, Clippers might be that mid-tier team for a while, just hovering and waiting.
They went how long for trying to get that championship and couldn't even get out of did they ever make a conference finals?
They didn't. I don't think they made it out of the first round.
No, they made it out of the first round.
Once or twice.
Like, they just got pummeled, though. Like, I don't know. They're going to be like, they're the Miami of the West. They're just going to stay always competing.
I think for Ballmer.
But again,
that's
there are
fine.
worse things.
There are worse things. Like, in the history
could
of
be
the
the
Clippers,
Kings.
Right.
in the history of the Clippers, if they had, the next 6 years were winning seasons, that's a huge win in the history of the Clippers.
Right, that's like the second greatest stretch of all time for
Yeah.
the Clippers. So we had that. Kemba Walker
Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, the asking price that Jordan wanted was so high. He kept saying that he wants an all-star back. And like, why? What team's just going to swap an all-star for an all-star? Like, I don't know what team's going to do that. And you would have to swap a guard because they already have Dwight, so it's not like you're going to trade like DeAndre for Kemba.
Well, and to me, one of the easiest suitors were my team, the 76ers,
Right.
who also didn't make a move. And I'm really surprised that they couldn't have made something happen for Kemba because the Sixers do have assets.
Would you trade like Saric for Kemba? Like,
I forget what someone was asking for Saric, and they're just like, no.
yeah, I can't remember what that trade was. Oh.
It was something silly. But I think it is just these, like, the 76ers, the Celtics. Everyone's trying to make trades. They're, like, going to teams. But I saw my text where I said, Denver offered Moutier and a second for Evans or 2 seconds and an expiring contract. And Memphis thought they could get more than that.
Yeah, maybe those teams that had these expiring guys, I think they held out too long, thinking that they could get something big. And now Memphis is going to have to walk away from Evans for nothing. DeAndre Jordan's going to leave for nothing. But maybe the value of having DeAndre's cap gone is just an asset in its own that they're okay with.
Right.
But to me, that's still like
they can go out.
They could have that asset could have been gone, and they could have also got a second pick.
What if they're looking for 2019 off season?
Everyone's looking for 2019.
But I mean, like
big contracts.
What if they're just going to try to get some nice role playing contracts around and be like, hey guys, we're going to get a star in 2019?
I guess it's possible, but then when you think about it, like, who's going to be that 20? Like, is Klay Thompson going to? Just throw Klay Thompson on the Clippers 2 years.
Well, and it's also like the Lakers are in just as good, if not a better situation to sign. And what superstar is going to really look at those two teams and not choose the purple and gold?
Baby.
It's so hard. I feel like
if the money's the same,
right?
Saying.
I feel like the Lakers next year are going to have to like make huge strides to like look like a really successful winning team because I don't think a player like Klay is going to jump to a team only making.
You mean like right now where they're like 12? They've won 12 of their last 16 games.
No, like, but I mean like for like a whole season. So they're going to have to like if you ended the season with like 38 wins next year, and then Klay Thompson comes. But I don't see like Klay Thompson joining a 28 win team.
I think they need to. I think they need to go out and get a center this offseason. Baby.
I think that's feasible. I mean, if
he just switches off. He doesn't even really have to go that far.
I would be so excited.
That so funny. That's a realistic situation I see. DeAndre being like, okay, I love LA. I'm going to get paid too. I'm going to make $22 million a year for the next 3-4 years. Let's go.
And I'm going to get all the endorsements that comes along with being a Laker.
He'll get his own TV show.
I remember we were selling like Dwight on that. Man, just stay in LA. We'll give you a TV show. Come on. It'll be so cool. Come on, Dwight.
You're in line for Space Jam 4. You're going to star in it, buddy.
Just think about it. Think about it. And then he left us to go be on the Rockets and then get hated on again.
He's had it rough, but no one's had it worse than Isaiah Thomas. My heart bleeds for that guy right now.
I saw something last night. Someone was posting about how we shouldn't love Isaiah, and he's just kind of a crybaby. And every team he gets on, he just trash talks them. Like if say they don't play him one game, or he like, he's so vocal about everything. He's just like, look, they don't play me because I'm short.
I mean,
I don't remember that in Boston.
No,
there was a few times where he was like, it was right around the trade, before the trade, where he trashed Danny Ainge, and it was all these things that would like just went right under the rug. Just kind of were like,
I remember him trash talking Sacktown, Phoenix.
Also legitimate places to trash talk.
Mostly Phoenix. It's just so hot there. It's just unenjoyable.
But like I remember him trash talking like the Celtics, like after he got traded.
Right. Yeah.
After he got traded,
I feel like after the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, and then now he did just endlessly trash talk the Cavs.
It just I understand you're upset, but
even so many things are going through his head. Like he had to go through that thing with his sister,
and then the injury,
Now he's not going to get paid.
He consistently played through, right. And probably did more long lasting. I don't know. He really gave it all to those guys.
He did everything. He played through that injury. He did. It's so hard.
But it is something that GMs will look at and be like, this guy will come out and publicly
That's true.
trash us.
That's
Right.
true.
As maybe one of our better players. And then he's like, why am I not getting these? Why are people not wanting me anymore? And he's continuing a vicious cycle. I mean, I love Isaiah. Hopefully he'll do good on the Lakers, and hopefully someone else will pick him up.
But it's all on the court issues right now. I mean, that's what's scary about him getting another contract is that it looks like he really can't play.
He might not even make next year what he's making right now.
Yeah.
He might not even make $7 million a year. That's really sad considering he was like, people were like, oh, he's going to make the max on the Celtics, which he never was. Celtics were never going to pay him $30 million a year. But
not when they got Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, so what if like next year Magic, I just see him on the Magic. I really do. They don't have a point guard now.
Oh, God, please no.
Yeah, it's going to be the Magic, and he's going to make like $8 million a year.
The Seattle
6.
Super Magic.
The Super Magic.
Oh, that's a better name than the Magic Sonics. The Super Magic.
The Super Magic.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Well, thank you for joining us on the Sip and Swish NBA Trade Deadline 2018 Spectacular Mini Not So Mini podcast. Thanks for hanging out with
an hour.
Myself, Jason, Lucas, Nick, the Sip and Swish crew. We will see you next week.